The rain was coming down in heavy sheets, drenching the lonely stretch of road. Cars sped past, their tires slicing through puddles, but none slowed down for the figure standing under a flickering streetlight. Her uniform clung to her like a second skin, soaked and cold, her duffel bag at her feet. Sergeant Emily Hayes had seen war, had faced death, but this, being stranded in the middle of nowhere after her car broke down, felt strangely defeating. She hugged herself tightly, trying to ignore the chill that seeped into her bones. That's when the sound of tires screeching cut through the storm. A beat-up old pickup truck slowed to a stop beside her. The driver's window rolled down, and a warm voice called out over the rain. "Ma'am, you need a ride." Emily hesitated, scanning the face of the man behind the wheel. He looked safe. Honest brown eyes, stubble that spoke of hard days, and a worn jacket with grease stains. The kind of man who had seen his share of struggles. My car died," she said, trying to sound steady despite the shiver in her voice. He nodded. "Hop in. You'll catch your death out there." She grabbed her duffel and climbed into the truck, the warmth inside wrapping around her like a blanket. "Name's Jack," he said with a quick smile. "Where to?" Emily exhaled, relieved. "Closest motel, I guess." As the truck rumbled down the road, Jack stole a glance at her. "Army, huh?" "Yeah," she said quietly. "Just got back." He didn't ask for details, and she was grateful. Most people did. Instead, he turned the heat up and let the silence stretch comfortably. When they reached the only motel in town, Emily reached for her wallet. "How much do I owe you?" she asked. Jack shook his head. "Nothing. Just stay dry, okay?" She gave a faint smile. "Thank you, Jack." As she stepped into the motel lobby, she didn't know that this small act of kindness was about to change both their lives. 2 weeks later, Emily stood in her small apartment, staring at the walls. Coming home from deployment wasn't what she expected. There were no crowds, no family waiting. Just silence. The uniform that once made her feel strong now hung heavy in the closet. Her phone buzzed occasionally with messages from old friends, but they all had moved on. She felt invisible. One rainy evening, as the storm beat against her window, she made tea and sank into the couch, her mind swirling with memories she wished she could erase. The sudden knock on her door startled her. She froze. Who could it be at this hour? When she opened the door, her breath caught. There stood Jack, holding an umbrella and a bag of groceries, rain dripping from his jacket. "Jack, what are you doing here?" she asked, stunned. He gave a sheepish smile. "You didn't look like you had much that night. Thought you could use some company. Hope I'm not overstepping." For the first time in weeks, warmth spread through Emily's chest. "Come in." Over the next few weeks, Jack became her lifeline. He'd show up with groceries, fix things around her apartment, and listen, really listen, when the weight of her memories grew too heavy. He didn't try to fix her, he just let her be herself. She learned that he was a single dad to a 7-year-old girl named Lily. His wife had left years ago, and Jack had been raising Lily on his own while working 2 jobs to make ends meet. One day, Emily met Lily, and something inside her shifted. The little girl ran into her arms like they had known each other forever. Emily found herself laughing, playing, and feeling pieces of her heart stitching back together. But happiness didn't come without its battles. Emily still woke up some nights drenched in sweat, her mind replaying explosions and screams. There were days she wanted to shut everyone out. Jack never pushed. He simply stayed, even when she tried to push him away. One night, after a particularly bad episode, Emily sat on her porch with Jack beside her. The moonlight softened the lines of his tired face. "Why are you doing this for me?" she whispered, tears glistening in her eyes. He looked at her with that steady gaze. "Because someone helped me when I was at my lowest. Because no one should fight their battles alone." Those words broke the dam inside her. She sobbed, and Jack pulled her into his arms, holding her until the storm inside her quieted. Months passed, and Emily began to heal. She found a new purpose, helping other veterans transition back into civilian life. Jack and Lily became her family, and for the first time in years, she felt whole. One bright spring day, as they picnicked in the park, Lily ran up to Emily with a wildflower crown. "Daddy says you're our hero," she giggled. Emily smiled through tears as Jack wrapped his arm around her. In that moment, she realized something powerful. Sometimes the greatest battles aren't fought on the battlefield, but in the quiet moments when life gives you a second chance. And sometimes, love knocks on your door when you least expect it, on a rainy night, with a man who just wanted to help. The end. Checkmark. Do you want me to expand this into a full 55-minute script with dialogues and scene directions for a YouTube video, or keep it as a narrative story with emotional depth and pacing? Or I can write it as a 3-part story for episodic content. Which one do you prefer? Emily couldn't shake the memory of that night, the way Jack had shown up at her door, the groceries, the kindness in his eyes. She had told herself it was just a good man being neighborly. But deep down, it had touched something she hadn't felt in a long time, belonging. Over the next few days, life felt a little lighter. She even smiled at herself in the mirror, something she hadn't done since coming home. Still, there was an emptiness, a quiet ache that lingered when she lay in bed at night. She missed the bond of her unit, the sense of purpose. Out here, in the so-called normal world, she felt like a stranger. Then came another rainy evening. Emily was reading a book when a knock sounded on her door, soft, almost hesitant. She frowned, heart skipping. She wasn't expecting anyone. When she opened the door, her breath caught. It wasn't Jack this time. It was a little girl. Soaked from the rain, clutching a stuffed bunny, her big brown eyes wide with fear. "Hi," the girl whispered. "Are you Miss Emily?" Emily crouched down, confused. "Yes, sweetheart, I'm Emily. What's wrong?" Before the girl could answer, Jack appeared from the stairwell, panting, drenched, and clearly worried. "Lily, you can't just run off like that." Emily blinked. "Lily." The girl turned and ran into Jack's arms. He scooped her up, kissing her damp hair, relief flooding his face. "Sorry about that," Jack said, shaking his head with a breathless laugh. "She insisted on coming to see you." Emily smiled softly. "Why?" Lily looked at her shyly. "I made you something." She held out a folded piece of paper, the edges damp from the rain. Emily opened it carefully, and her throat tightened. It was a drawing, stick figures of 3 people holding hands. At the bottom, in wobbly letters, were the words, "Me, Daddy, and Miss Emily." Something inside Emily cracked wide open. Jack rubbed the back of his neck, embarrassed. "Guess she's taken a liking to you." Emily's eyes shimmered as she looked at him. Yes, I've taken a liking to her too." That night, after Lily was tucked into Emily's couch with a warm blanket and hot cocoa, Jack lingered by the door. "She misses a woman's presence," he said quietly. "It's just been the 2 of us for so long." Emily nodded, her voice low. "I miss feeling like I belong somewhere." Jack met her gaze, and in that silence, something unspoken passed between them. It wasn't romance, not yet. It was something deeper, understanding. 2 broken people finding a flicker of light in each other's darkness. The days that followed wove them closer. Emily started joining Jack and Lily for dinners. She helped with homework, taught Lily how to braid her hair, and laughed, really laughed, for the first time in months. Jack, in turn, became her anchor, the steady presence she never knew she needed. But happiness has a way of testing those who finally taste it. One evening, while clearing the table after dinner at Jack's house, Emily's phone buzzed. A message from an old commander: "We need volunteers for overseas aid, urgent deployment." Her heart dropped. She stared at the screen, torn in two. Jack noticed her pale face. "Everything okay?" Emily swallowed hard. "It's the army. They want me back." To be continued. Do you want me to write part 3 as the emotional climax, where she has to choose between returning to duty or building a life with Jack and Lily? Or should we add a twist with something dramatic that brings all 3 closer before the decision? Which one do you prefer for part 3? Checkmark emotional and heartwarming choice. Checkmark dramatic twist plus heroic moment. Checkmark both combined for a powerful ending. Emily stood frozen, staring at her phone as the rain tapped softly against the window. The message glared back at her like a ghost from the past. "We need volunteers for overseas aid, urgent deployment." Her breath hitched. She had fought so hard to find peace, to feel human again. And now, the life she thought she was beginning to build, Jack, Lily, the laughter at dinner, suddenly felt fragile. Jack noticed her trembling hands. "Emily," he said gently, his voice calm but laced with concern, "what's going on?" She looked up at him, tears brimming. "It's the army. They need me." There's a crisis overseas, they're asking for volunteers. Jack's jaw tightened, but his eyes stayed soft. And what do you want?
I just want to take a moment to say a huge thank you to each and every one of you. Folded hands, your love, support, likes, comments, and subscriptions mean the world to me. Without you, this journey wouldn't be possible. Every view, every share, and every encouraging word keeps me motivated to create more content for you all. I'm truly grateful to have such an amazing community by my side. Let's keep growing together and making this journey even more special. Red Heart.